So welcome back to Marriage and Bliss on Elevate TV, Advancing Kingdom Lifestyle. Today we are talking about a topic that is affecting most of us out there, anxiety and depression in marriage. If you have missed the first section of this, I hope that you will find it somewhere. It is all on all our social media platforms. Just go and find it there. Pastor Tim Wangi is sharing a lot of wisdom. Before we went for a break, alituambia that maybe you are a skunk, you are oozing with a lot of bad energy, and maybe you are a porcupine, ukiguzwa tu kidogo already you are spiking, or maybe you are a bear, you have to win in all the arguments. But he summed it up that it is a team, it is about teamwork, and we have to win as a team. So Pastor T, there are people who have gone through depression on their own side. It sometimes does not affect both of us at the same time, but one partner is actually depressed and is in anxiety. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what to get from the marriage. They are not sure of where they want to be even after. And just as you explained, ladies think in some very funny way, and men think in a linear form of method. So would one being depressed and has not shown or expressed their depression or expressed their expectation, would that affect the other partner, and how?
First of all, you've mentioned two words there, depression and anxiety.
Yes.
Depression is like a disease, and you might be a host of a bacteria, and you don't even know the bacteria is there.
Wow.
Until now, the bacteria dominates your body, and you get a system breakdown, and you go to the hospital, and they say you have a bacteria infection, and now they subscribe the antibiotics, or even a virus or a fungal infection. Because I tell you, there are many people who are even depressed and they don't know.
They don't know.
They're just in that status. They might think, I just need my time to think things through. I just need space for me to figure out a few things. But the symptoms of depression are already with them.
Wow.
Now, depression has everything to do with a person trying to think of a matter, but they are not getting the way out. So it wastes them emotionally. It first of all begins by weighing you emotionally to a level now you can enter into redundancy, whereby you lose the energy to do anything, you lose the vigor, you lose the vibrancy, and it can be so severe to a level of what we call is it acute madness? It's like you've lost your mind, you're just there. And people don't know. And sometimes it comes in when there is an issue that affects you emotionally and you don't have a logical solution out of it. And it's an issue you feel you can't share.
Wow.
In fact, they say you can share the same beds, but you don't share the same troubles. Because
Wow.
the fact that we are bedmates doesn't mean that we share every trouble in life. Because there are even people at their job place, there's too much pressure, there are targets they need to achieve.
Yes.
And you're like, this is bread and butter. I don't want my wife or my husband to work alone. I know I need to deliver.
True.
And every time you come home with the wrong energy, and it is possible for workplace pressure to get a toll on you, and you find that, I think this thing is getting too much. I remember sitting with a lady and she told me, actually, I think I'm depressed because even my wife told me I've changed.
Wow.
But it is because of the pressure I get in the workplace. And when I look at this job, it's like this is my livelihood. I can't even think how I'm going to live when I lose the job. Anxiety has everything to do with excitements of the future. It is the what if. What if this thing goes through? What if this thing doesn't go through? So this thing is not in the past. People don't get anxious of the past. People get anxious of possibilities that are in the future.
Wow.
So you have this tender you have given, it's gonna bring you good money and you're not sleeping.
Wow.
You're saying, if it goes through, nimeomoka. Hey, isipoenda, nimeisha. This looks like it is my life. And anxiety can be so serious to a level whereby you are losing sleep, you are not thinking right, because you're in a tense. You can't wait for that future to manifest.
Right.
So you are in a tense status. And there are people, most of the time, you turn this side, you see the deal going through. You turn this side, it doesn't go through. You turn this side, you see the lorry, it has goods worth 1 million. and you have to call the driver every time. So that's anxiety. It is the fear or the hope of the unknown. It has not yet happened, but you're hoping it's gonna happen or it's still going. So when you're dealing with a depressed person, that's a sick person. And that person, you need to understand them. You need to understand them. And you need to give them empathy, not sympathy.
Wow.
Sympathy is, oh yeah. You see, when a man has a broken leg, person has fallen with a picky nduvi and they break their leg. You staring at that person is sympathy. And looking at how painful he's feeling, that's sympathy. Empathy is when you pick him and say, you know what, it's gonna hurt, but you need to get to the hospital. So you are giving him solution to what he's going through.
What he's going through.
So there is an essence of caring, but there is an essence of solution.
Wow.
Now, many people, when they meet a depressed person, and some people, even their depression is exaggerated, is because they don't get anyone who gives them empathy. The people who surround them give them sympathy. Sympathy does not heal me. Sympathy can even make me feel this thing is so worse. These guys are just sympathizing with me. You know,
It's
you've
like I'm
lost your
dying.
job. Yes, you've lost your job. And someone is coming and you have 3 children, you're paying school fees, and is like, hey, in Nairobi,
Ngumu.
unasurvivaje ndugu? Ai. You know,
Hata wewe ni
and
mwanaume.
slowly unaangalia unajiambia hii kitu kumbe ni serious. Sikuwa naona kama serious.
Exactly.
But you see, when you tell them, you know, I just lost, and they're like, hey, dude, don't worry, man. People have lost jobs. Imagine with a small saving, you can do something. And you begin to share opinion and way forward. Already you are speaking life to this person. But the moment it is all about sympathy, that person will never get out. The concept of anxiety, even Christ understood. Jesus himself said, be anxious of nothing, but with prayer and supplication, make your request known unto the Father. Now, what was God saying? Anxiety is that thing about the future. So make sure that you have made prayers. That name supplication has the name supplies. These are the things you need. So just mention them in prayer. What will kill anxiety is knowing the will of God and having faith in God.
Wow.
Now, you can't untwist the hand of God because of your appetites.
Yes.
So the moment you know your life is run and navigated by God, you will know that even if I don't get this thing, it was in the will of God, because possibly I don't know what God delivered me from.
Very true.
There's a time we were given a contract to supply tippers in Mazeras. And it was a good deal. I think that was my moment to become a millionaire. I don't think if I'll be preaching if that door open. And we even went to the prayer mountain to pray for 3 days. I tell you, we prayed all scriptures. We were preaching to God. You know, Father,
telling him, reminding
Father,
him.
you said your word.
Reminding him you
Yes,
said.
yes. And you know you can activate false faith.
True.
And we activated faith, and we went and we were ready now for the deal. But the person giving us the deal was a little bit shaky. So he came and said, you know what, price of fuel has increased, so we need to revise the deal. We revised, we're still in business. So when we were looking for the tipper, we went to Nakuru, and these people said, you know what, we have the tipper, we have everything, but we are carrying the weight. He said, let's open a joint account. And in this joint account, we all become signatories. You with the deal, us with the trucks, and the person with the contract, because we're just brokers. And when we talked to the person with the contract, he didn't want that deal. Later we discovered the guy used to be paid, and then he will switch off his phone. We're talking about a deal that was going to make more than 10 million. Now imagine we didn't have the money to pay even for the tippers. So if, you see, we were not sleeping at that time, thinking how we'll be rich. Moving around Runda by faith, saying, Runda, we are coming.
A house in there.
And you know, the neighborhood. Later is when the deal collapsed that we discovered God saved us big time. Right now we've been committed. Because if they gave us the tippers, we'll not have had the capacity to pay. So that's what now God says. There are doors that will come. They may look shut on your face, but the kind of deliverance that God has delivered you from, you may not see it. Some of them will just come with a no, but God has delivered you. So let's not just begin to see that Everything that doesn't go our way, God was not involved. And that is why anxious people lose peace. And anxious people, now they become untamed. You're trying to talk to this person, but they're already in their known future. They are not in the now.
Yes.
But you need a wife and a husband for
who is
now.
now.
When that money comes, well and good. If it doesn't come, you're still my husband. Yes.
It doesn't change anything.
It doesn't change.
I think you have brought up a very important issue just right before we got to when God shuts. The importance of having people in your circle,
yes,
that you share with. Most people actually in this generation have decided to show the world on Facebook and social media, we are doing well, we are okay, everything is going right. Then back behind the curtains, they know that there is something that is not working. There are people who come to church and they are holding hands and everything seems right. But when you go back to their home, there's something that is wrong. What is the importance of friends and people that you surround yourself with in dealing with this depression and anxiety?
The first thing you might think what you're going through is the epitome of trouble until you meet a person who has gone through something more than what you've gone through. My grandfather one day was very sick, and you can underline the word very sick, to a point he was carried to the hospital and almost bedridden. When he arrived in the hospital, a man came, and this man had been attacked by a leopard, and blood was all over his face, and it was just looking very funny.
Very funny.
And they were on the same bench waiting to see the doctor. When that guy arrived, my grandfather looked at the guy and told my grandmother, "Let's go back home. I'm not sick.
Actually, I
This one needs the doctor." So that is life. You might think you are very sick until you find a person who has gone through more than what you are facing, and they came out victorious.
Wow.
What the devil likes is for us to think we are the only ones going through the issue, and then you build walls so that nobody comes out, nobody comes in. It was the same concept of a man called, I'm trying to remember. This the King David asked, is there any man in the house of Saul that I should show favor? Mephibosheth. Mephibosheth was in a place called the Lodebar, a place of no communication. And when man is cut off from communication, that automatically is the place of collapse.
Wow.
You need people you can be real with. You need people you can tell, this thing is collapsing, we are selling this house, or we are selling this car, we are ready to go back to Part2, and all that, so that now it doesn't look like failure. It is a decision you have made because of the circumstances. And people that can give you advice and not money, because there are people who will be there. And you have to know that people won't stand with you for long, because by the time they are working with you, they also get their own personal things, and they need someone to work with them. So you need, and real people, genuine people you can take off the mask and just talk genuinely. The problem with social media, we just project our medals. Nobody will show you their scars.
Yes, true.
And this is the life we live. And that is why, naturally they say, if all you do is show us your medals, you don't help anybody, because medals intimidate. And that's why, like I was looking at the television, there is a famous actor. We all saw him on TV. Yes. Now he's going through a crisis. But you see, all along, as celebrities, we show people our medals, and people feel you're okay. And they get intimidated. They can't even get in your circle.
True.
They feel, oh, so these are the guys you hang out with. So this is where you eat. And you're like, hey, sisi, wacha tuendelee kuteseka. Tukifika your level, it will be okay. But in life, when you share your scars, you are sharing the secret of your medals.
Wow.
And very few people want to share their scars because they want to show their medals and they don't share the secrets of their medals. And many people get intimidated with medals, but people connect with the scars, because what you have gone through, someone has gone through.
Wow.
And how you came out is already a solution to that person. And that's why anywhere, even people who don't believe in God, testimonies are very powerful.
Wow.
Because they address their very solution.
Wow.
It's also good to understand also what we call the psychological structure. It's also good to understand that women talk in details, and men talk in headlines.
Summary.
Yes. I tell you, you put a man here and a woman here, and you give them the same topic. By 30 minutes, the women will be now finishing the introduction. By 5 minutes, the men
We'll have finished everything.
they will have finished everything. They have nothing else to discuss. So, and that begins to tell you that because of that nature, it is easier for women to get help because they speak to the core. Men will give you headlines, and it is either when a man is about to hit rock bottom that he will be real and tell you know what, but they have been going through 1, 2, 3. But men learn a lot by observation. I know people are talking on 14th about men conference. It is very hard to have a man advise another man.
True.
Because of ego. True. A man will ask, so what makes you think you can manage my house? And then you come and say, you know, hi guys, I've been married for 3 years. And then 4 years and above, they're like, dude, sumalize miaka 4 kwanza. Unajua miaka 10 vile inakaa kwa ndoa. You know, the same way there was a girl who performed very well nationally. And she began to give advice on academics. And guys in campus were saying, hey, come slowly. This was just KCSE, you know. You have no authority to think you can lecture us. And you see, it's not that she was not saying the real thing. It's only that there is a person who feels in this level, you know, what do you know about this level? And that's why the best thing men do is they observe. But the worst thing women do, they compare.
Oh.
So I remember the first lesson I learned, I saw one of the pastors change diapers in church. And through that observation, I learned a lesson that changing diapers is not for women. Because I grew in a culture I never saw my dad.
True.
I can't remember a memory of my dad changing diapers or even washing a child. I think we used to be handed over when we were very old. But through that observation, that pastor did not need to tell me men ought to change diapers.
Yes.
If the man would have called me and tell me, hey, Pasi, you know about to get a child, but then you need to learn how to change diapers. Mambo ya diapers. So, and that's why when you have friends, people you can talk to, a man can observe many things. He can go and say, you guys were in a 3-bedroom. How comes you're in 1 bedroom? And he's like, you know, life was not very okay, so we decided to adjust. And he's like, okay, so adjusting is not failure. But when you sit down and tell him, you guys need to change your life, it will be, who told you I'm not able? So those are some of the very unique dynamics because you're dealing with an ego-centered person and they might go through a crisis and their ego have to be massaged. Wow. So men love through observation. And that's why it's very healthy when one couple visits another couple. There are so many things men learn, but they don't say. When they go home is when they begin to practice. And you see him in the kitchen and they're like, okay, what happened? And he's like,
what changed?
Yeah, what changed?
I saw something. I think guys out there, we are learning a lot from Pastor Tim Wangi. I know you are learning. Men do change diapers, but you have to see it. You have to see it. Yeah. And I believe that it is a very important topic that we are handling.
Yes.
That people need to create those inner circles,
yes,
that they visit one another, because we will learn from that. We will learn. Pastor T, away from being Pastor T, does go to the kitchen.
Yeah, there's a time we had a couple at home, and it's a couple we discuss. And that time I think there's something they were discussing, and my wife and I were quiet. And that night when we slept, we said, hey, we think we have issues. Have you seen that couple? We didn't tell the couple. But I tell you, you know, for us, we were like, I think Mungu ni mwema. We don't argue about these things. Yeah, so sometimes you might think you guys have real fights. And I want to believe that couple, for them maybe it was normal, you know, this is how we talk.
Yes.
And so it helps easen up, loosen up. There are things you hear, there are things maybe your wife was saying it's not right, and you hear from another source and another source, and you're like, by the way, now I get it, it's not right. And there are things you're also trying to say, we need to do this, and your wife hears from other sources. You know, sometimes wives are talking and you're like, hiyo kwanza hiyo, mwambie kabisa. Hiyo ndo hapo ndo nakuanga nikiumia.
True, very true.
So that circle is very key. It's very healthy.
It's very important.
Yes.
We are almost there. How does depression, now there are people who are already in it, how does it affect intimacy in any way? Or maybe the question would be, does it affect, and maybe how?
Of course it affects. We're emotional beings. And I tell you, for women, intimacy is more emotional than it is physical. They must feel it, they must be in it. For men, it's a little bit different, but I tell you the truth. When you are depressed, really depressed, this is a disease. The same way sometimes even you are sick and you have no appetite for food. It's not that there is no food, but you're
You
just
don't
sick.
have the appetite.
So at this level, at the very lowest level of your emotions, these things don't look like priorities. They look like luxury.
True.
Imagine you're in depression because you need $1 million. What is intimacy at that level? It looks like we have no priorities in this house.
Very true. Very
We
true.
have no priorities. So it affects, and it's such a bad thing. Also, there are people who use intimacy, and to be very specific, sex, as a way of releasing pressure. So again, it can come to a level whereby you feel this person is not necessarily approaching me from a place of love, but it looks like I'm just an object of tension release. So again, it affects. Because you see, intimacy is intimacy. So you have to get the realities of where I am, where I'm coming from. I don't just want you to come and look like uko nje kimomana and then you're here bringing all the baggage. So there must be communication and conversations and all that. So it can affect in the two ways. Some people use this as a tension reliever. And some people also retreat because they feel this is not a priority. So you cannot say that we'll be waiting for situations to happen so that I can be the tension reliever. And when it gets to a level, there are people who even don't talk. The whole concept, before even people get physical, there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of talk. That warmth has to be in the house. So you really feel this house is cold and we are not talking. It's just a strange place to live. What makes life worth living is communication. Community is a product of communication. Yes, talking to each other, not at each other.
And I think in this day and era, people are more of social media than just talking to one another. And sometimes you find they're willing to talk on social media, create a WhatsApp group, Saidina Chumvi, pass me water, than just to talk to this person. What is the importance of having physical talks?
Because I said, you can't pass your tone on a message. It's just a text. There's a lot of decorum. But when you use words and there's a tone, we are able to pick what you're not saying. And marriage is sustained by conversations. Because sometimes there is what you don't say, and I still hear it in a way that you didn't say. So you didn't say it, but I heard it, and I heard it the way I wanted to hear.
Yes.
And those are some of the things that create a lot of tension. The wisdom is it's better you talk more than talk less. It's better too much information than less information, because through that you are able to understand very many things. And it's something you train yourself. This has nothing to do with personality. If you're living with a woman and you're a man, you need to update her more than Facebook.
You have to.
If you're a woman and you're living with a man, you still have to drive the conversation. Even now, my wife still tells me, okay, what are you trying to say? Because I speak in headlines. In less than 5 minutes,
You're done.
Yeah, I'll go to the house and tell her, by the house church, it was good. We preached, people came. I even did an interview, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We finished. And the next thing she's like, okay, how was church? And I'm like, okay,
What did I just say? What did I just say? I think I just...
Yeah, so far she wants to know guys came, there was praise and worship, they were wearing white. And then I shared the word, I gave this summary, and then I walked out, opened the office door, and there was tea. I put three teaspoons of sugar. And the one who served you, so and so was the one who was serving me.
You have to update everything.
Yeah, you have to update and make sure now there's no loophole. And we learn this thing with time. So it's better more communication than less communication. Because it's so sad when people say what you never say. Because assumption is created where there was no information. And you can't kill the room of assumption. If I go now and sit in the house and I say nothing, my wife might think, are you okay? Have I wronged you? Those are the things that are running through. And when she talks to me and I'm like, okay, just give me a minute, I need to think. And she's like, okay, Kwani, what's happening with this guy? If I sleep without saying anything, I cannot deny her the opportunity of assumptions.
True.
She will have 1,000 ideas running. So the easiest thing is communicate so that that space of assumption is cut out.
Wow,
Yes.
wow. This is very important. Communicate. So, Pastor T,
Yes.
I want you to look at this camera and just talk to someone out there who is undergoing these issues and need help and maybe do not know how and where to get this help. Just talk to them.
I'll say life is a product of attitude, and every battle you win externally, you first have to win it internally. The greatest battle is not external, it's internal. And battles and life is about attitude. And you know, there's this common phrase that says, Lord, give me the wisdom to know, and the serenity to know the things I can change and to accept the things I cannot change. So that should be the law of life, because there are many people trying to change things, but those things are beyond them. They can't change them. So what happens if it rains today, and this is the wisdom, if it rains today and you had a business whereby you needed to open that business, you have two options. One is stay in the house and complain that it rained, and stay in the house and waste the day. The second thing is look for an umbrella and walk in the rain. Now you can't stop the rain, but your attitude is you have a gadget that can shield you from the rain. So that is attitude, meaning that you're looking at an umbrella as a gadget and you're saying, I cannot change the rain, but I can change my attitude about the rain. And that is life, and that will keep you for long.
Wow. I hope you have learned so much from this conversation, that the Bible also says, be transformed by the renewal of your mind. The greatest battle you win externally, you have to have won it internally. Pastor T, you have shared a lot of wisdom that people will implement. I believe that our viewers will implement, and people even beyond will also implement whatever we have said. Kindly share everywhere everything that we have said. If the nuggets that you have gotten, just write them down, and please write it is from Apostle T. Pastor T Mwangi. So Pastor T Mwangi, thank you very much for coming. We are really honored and privileged to have you. I know you have a busy schedule with a lot of activities, but you spared time to have us here. Thank you very much, our viewers, for being there and not touching that dial. I believe that there is something coming up, and I believe that you will learn. This is Marriage and Bliss. My name is Kanjagwa on Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle. See you next week. Same time, same place. Baraka.